Chris Paul has signed a 1-year, $11 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs. And I know a lot of people are excited. The media take is, oh, the Chris Paul lobs to Wemby are going to be insane next year. You know, the Spurs going to be a playoff team. They might go 32-55. However, even if they do, this will be a success. Chris Paul doesn't need to do much for it to be a success on the court. It's more, to me at least, what he does off the court. Because Chris Paul, he's great at developing other players. We saw it in Golden State last year. He came off the bench to help the Young Bucks. Look at guys like Jonathan Kuminga. He took a big leap last year over in Golden State. And now he's probably going to be a second option in Golden State next year, just behind Steph Curry. And we saw it before in Oklahoma City. Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Look at Shai now. He's an MVP candidate. And he got to learn behind Chris Paul. And on the court at the same time as Chris Paul, they ran a great three-guard lineup over there. Shai, Dennis Schroeder, Chris Paul. That was great, man. But just development for the Spurs. Yes, it'll help Wemby. It'll help Wemby great. He didn't have any great playmakers. Trey Jones was the best, and he's solid, but that's about it. And guys like Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, they tried to handle ball handling duties. It just didn't go very well. And over the second half of the year, when we saw Trey Jones inserted in the starting lineup, Wemby's numbers went up, and there's a reason for that. His efficiency went up, everything, because he had someone proper setting him up in Trey Jones. And speaking of Trey Jones, I think this is great for him too. You know, he's a serviceable, he's a steady point guard, but now he gets a chance to learn under one of the greatest of all time, and Chris Paul, one of the best playmakers especially ever, and one of the best defenders as well. Trey Jones, maybe not the best defender, but there's room to improve, and maybe he doesn't even need to because he got a guy like Wemby there. But I think Trey Jones will benefit especially from this. He's not going to be SGA, but he can learn from Chris Paul as well. And then Chris Paul, he'll probably be starting. So for the rest of the starting lineup, let's talk about it. Devin Vassell, he's another guy. He's going to get his shots up, and he's going to have a better guy setting him up now. You know, Wemby's going to have some gravity on him. Teams are going to focus on Wemby. That's going to leave Devin Vassell open sometimes. And Chris Paul's going to find that man. He's going to find his man, Devin Vassell, for an easy three in the corner. And Keldon Johnson, this takes away some of his ball handling duties. He wasn't bad last year, but the issue with him was that he just wasn't a good enough playmaker to coexist with guys like Wemby and Devin Vassell. And now he doesn't need to, so maybe you can insert him back in the lineup because he can be a really good scoring wing. He even showed off the bench last year. He averaged 16. And I like Keldon Johnson. I like his game a lot. And now that maybe he doesn't have to play make as much with a guy like Chris Paul taking away those duties from him, I think that'll be better for him. And overall, Chris Paul is just going to set this team up for success in the future. And maybe you draft another point, or maybe you trust Trey Jones to learn from this. But the Spurs have a bright future, man. Even if they go, like I said, 32-55, they don't reach the expectations that some people might have. I think this is going to be a great year for the Spurs in terms of development, and especially thanks to Chris Paul.